Influencing popular culture, politics, and everything in between. The local station takes you ringside as we discuss the crazy world that is professional wrestling. This is Going Ringside with The Local Station.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Scott Johnson. This is another episode of Going Ringside. If you weren't quite sure who's going to join us today, it's the man, as Bobby Heenan used to call him. Goldberg is here. As you know, Going Ringside, one of the premier wrestling talk shows anywhere in the world. Coming off last week's episode with Shawn Michaels. HBK was here last week. Go check that out right now on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We decided to keep it A-list, and we got another one with us this week. That man, Bill Goldberg, is here. So I caught up with Bill down here in Florida. He was inducted this past week into the Georgia-Florida Hall of Fame for the big Georgia-Florida game that happened here where we're based at in Jacksonville. I was able to talk to Bill along with my one of my sports producers, Justin Barney, also talked to Bill as well. Asked him a few things about this dynamic of going from football to WWE, or I guess WCW at the time, is really where Goldberg shot out of a cannon like nothing we'd ever really seen in wrestling. He became an overnight sensation in just a matter of several weeks, doing that iconic undefeated streak in WCW where everyone was chanting Goldberg, and then has remained a fixture off and on in WWE for several decades. And I do ask him, you know, are you going to wrestle again? We chat briefly about that. So I want to start with this. You'll hear me interviewing them, and then my one of my producers here, where we're located at Channel 4 in Jacksonville, Justin, will also ask him some questions. So let's get to it, and then we've got a lot more, because coming up later, you will hear his Hall of Fame induction speech. You do not want to miss that. That'll be right after our interview. So let's get to the interview first. Here is the man you've been waiting for, the man, as the brain used to call him. Here's Goldberg. Bill Goldberg, this is a big event for you. Georgia-Florida Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
I mean, what does it mean?
It's a big event for me because somebody actually remembered that I played football back in the day.
Yeah.
It's an awesome accomplishment. It's an awesome honor. It's very humbling. Anytime you get an individual accolade, they don't really understand what goes into it.
You say people remember you for football. Has that been a struggle for you over the years because your star went the way it did?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. People are in the now as opposed to, getting history on somebody's backstory.
Sure.
But, get out of Georgia or you get out of the South, and, some people kind of forgot that I played football back in the day.
Did you have any idea when you were at Georgia, and then I think it was Atlanta, right? What would happen after that? Was that a shock to you?
Oh, I had no idea. No, I was living for the next day. Being a member of the NFL who doesn't have a guaranteed contract and who isn't drafted in the first 8 rounds, back when they had 8 rounds, it's a struggle just to be on the roster every day. So me being on an NFL roster was an accomplishment for me every day of my life.
Wrestling or football, which was more grueling on the body?
Oh, wrestling, 100%.
Really?
Yeah, because you're a professional athlete mixed with a rock star, because you're on the road every 2 days. I was on the road 210 days my first year. So it's, as opposed to playing 16 games in the NFL, 17 games in the NFL, or however many you play in college now. I mean, it's no comparison.
In the ring, it was a lot of football guys. It was Steve McMichael. You beat the crap out of Dwayne Johnson. I mean, what was it like dealing with all those football guys?
That's my job. That's what I do. It was fun. McMichael, it was awesome to be able to share the ring with him.
And he's had a struggle, yeah.
Yeah, and, Kevin Green, people forget about Kevin being a part of it. Obviously, The Rock, everybody knows who that is.
Sure.
But it was different for me being able to work with those guys because they understood, they knew what I went through, they knew the backstory, they had lived the lives before I did.
With Rock, did you ever guys discuss football very much, or was it all wrestling and business?
No, we spoke football a lot. We still do. I mean, it's our love.
Yeah.
Walter Camp is my hero because he gave me identity.
Sure. What about Lesnar? He tried football too.
Yeah, he gave it a shot, for sure. I mean, he was a wrestler, never played football. And with that type of physical package, I mean, why not give it a shot? I mean, more power to him. That was unbelievable that he tried to accomplish that.
Will you ever get in the ring again? That's been a lot of discussion in recent months.
You're not retired until you're dead in the wrestling business.
Okay, that's how it works.
I think today I may have to make an announcement.
And do you remember this game very well? Georgia, Florida?
I can never forget this game. My hatred for Florida still runs really deep.
It does.
Matter of fact, the color of your shirt makes me want to vomit.
Don't spear me.
Just saying.
Oh, I want to ask, there's this golf viral video of you throwing a guy in the lake. How did that come about?
It was like the wrestling business. None of it's pre-planned.
Sure. Goldberg, thank you so much.
What do you remember about this game?
How much I hate Florida.
Thank you.
That's what I remember about this game. I'm going to say it in a minute, but I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. All I knew about rivalries was OU, Texas. It did not take me long to learn how to hate the University of Florida. And that's healthy. And I appreciate them for it. No question, because they brought out the best in me. They brought out the best in everybody. And that's the cool thing about these rivalries is you can throw the records out the window. You can throw everything out the window. And go out and just beat the hell out of each other. I love it. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, this is OU Texas, really, on a southern level.
Yeah, on a different level, yeah, it is. I mean, it's ironic. I grew up in Oklahoma, I live in Texas, and I went to school at Georgia. Go Dogs! UT. It's a very weird thing, very strange. Like, my wife's from Canada. She's not a football person by any stretch. She's in the wrong family for that, and I'm trying to explain to her what a Georgia-Florida game is like. Well, we've been to a couple games at Georgia. And she says, oh, it's just like a Georgia home game? And it's like, nah, it's really different. Really different. And you can't really eloquate it to anyone who hasn't experienced it. So I'm waiting for some sweat and blood and all kind of stuff tomorrow. I love it. I mean, it's my identity. It's who I am.
Have you been back to these games?
I have not.
No,
I have no.
Tomorrow's your first one?
Well, yeah, I mean, let's be perfectly honest. I don't go out in public very much. When I'm working, I'm in front of millions of people. What's up, everybody? When I'm not, I'm on our ranch at home, fishing, shooting, playing with my cars and our animals. So I really don't. And now I got to go to every Colorado game. And so it's been tough to find time. But I'm very excited about being here for at least the first couple quarters tomorrow because I got to leave because I got to go to work.
Do people ask you often to do the spear on?
Yeah, everyone does, actually. And I think that they really don't realize what it is and how bad it hurts. But if I like you, then I'll spare you.
Now, you've wrestled in Jacksonville quite a few times.
Yes, sir.
In the past. So you've been here on a professional level, but not on a personal level, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been here on a personal level. Wolfson's Children's Hospital. It's my family. I've been here a number of times to dedicate certain parts of that hospital. But yeah, it's a different setting this time. I mean, I actually get to be the recipient of something as opposed to going and having to work all the time. It's truly an honor. It really is. It's hard for me, but I'm kind of at a loss for words because individual accolades don't sit very well with me because I couldn't have done it without my entire support staff, whether it's my teammates, my coaches, my family, all the people who came before us to set the standard for what University of Georgia is. I'm truly humbled.
Now, hours after our interview there with Bill, he made the announcement on the SEC Network, which he kind of teased in my interview there. He's going to have his last match next year with WWE in 2025. There's a lot of speculation. Who should he face? A lot of talk of Gunther. Maybe that is who his opponent should be. We will have to wait and see. He said that they were not ready to announce what his final match will be, but it will be next year, along with, I think, the last time we'll really be seeing John Cena. So kind of the end of an era for WWE in that regard. But this is all I want to talk about Bill. So let's put the video on the screen. So Bill, when he was here, was given the Honorable Hall of Fame jacket for being in the Georgia-Florida Hall of Fame, which is very special. So many people, as he said, know him from wrestling, but this has a soft spot in his heart, and I want to get to his speech. Here's Bill Goldberg giving his speech, being inducted into the Georgia-Florida Hall of Fame.
Okay, I'm not used to this, microphone and a bunch of people listening, but actually, I'm not used to it when I'm wearing clothes. I don't have just my underwear on. First and foremost, I got to thank the city of Jacksonville, thank the mayor, thank everybody, thank the inductees, thanks to everyone that's here. It is a truly humbling experience to be in front of you. Firstly, because not many people know that I even played football back in the day. I don't know if that's because of my age or my inability to be as good as I wanted to be, but the truth is, I could not be here without the guys sitting at my table. I wouldn't be here without my parents pushing me. I wouldn't be here without my brothers setting a great example playing Division I college football 15 years prior to myself. My wife, she's been through so much with me in these varying careers. You're my rock, honey. I couldn't do any of it without you. To my son, who's not here, by the way, because he's got practice today. Hopefully he'll follow my footsteps, not as a nose guard, but as a linebacker. He plays for University of Colorado right now with one of my ex-teammates, Deion Sanders. And, I wish he could be here, but God let him be a kid, right? It's very humbling getting an individual honor. I don't deserve it by any stretch of the imagination. I couldn't have done anything without my teammates. I couldn't have done anything without Coach Dooley. I couldn't have done anything without Coach Goff. Couldn't have done anything without all my coaches along the way that pushed me to be the person that I am. And truthfully, the person that I am, I have to thank Walter Camp. I'm a defensive lineman. I'm not a wrestler. I'm not an actor. I'm not a commentator. I am a defensive lineman. And I will be one till the day I die. And I'm appreciative of that. I'm proud of that. And I'm thankful of that. I use it in everything that I do, other than treating my wife. So, but it's truly an honor. There's so many wonderful people that deserve it so much more than myself that have come before me that are here today being honored. Again, it's extremely humbling, and it's hard for me to accept this, but I do greatly appreciate it. A little bit of a backstory, and I could talk for like 4 hours, but we don't have that, and you probably wouldn't want to listen to it. But I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Mom was a concert violinist, and my dad was an obstetrician gynecologist, and boom, here comes Bill Goldberg, right? Not the prototypical family that you would think that I would come from, but with a name like Goldberg, I'm Jewish. I think it's quite obvious. And one of my goals throughout my existence was to raise awareness that everyone is not stereotypically placed. I do not look like a Goldberg. I do not look like somebody who would be doing your taxes. I just don't identify with that kind of guy. I wonder why. But I made it a mission of mine throughout all of my exploits to try to set an example. Not only for kids, but for little Jewish kids who didn't think they had any other option in the world but to be a banker or to be a lawyer or to, sit behind a desk. You could be me. I gave them hope. I think, I hope, that was truly for me, that was part of it, that you can break the stereotype no matter what the stereotype is. And the beauty of football is that you get to participate with a team, green, black, gray, purple, Jewish, Christian. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you come from. It matters who is next to you, who you represent. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I bled with these guys. I cried with these guys. I drank a lot of beer with these guys. Did a lot of very illegal things with these guys that, thank God, weren't able to be recorded because they didn't have those they did have flip phones back then, but anyway, as I said, thank you to everybody along the way. And I will touch on the Georgia-Florida thing a little bit. I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Only thing I knew about a rivalry was Oklahoma versus Texas. What's this Georgia-Florida thing? Well, boys, let me tell you, when my son was growing up, I wouldn't let that kid drink Gatorade for anything in the frickin' world. And thanks to Steve Spurrier, even the word Florida Gators or the term makes me want to vomit. But part of it turned me into a monster, but part of it also turned me into a person who is greatly appreciative of the rivalry that we have had throughout the years. It's made us who we are. And at the end of the day, we can shake hands, we can hug and say, good game. Whether we actually meant it or not, I'll leave that one up to you. People always ask me, who's next?
It was a little hard to say because it was loud and the microphone kind of popped, but he said, Gators, you're next, which is ironic because that's actually what happened as Georgia beat Florida for the nth time in a row at the end of that game. But so happy to sit and talk to that man right there, Bill Goldberg, one of the most popular wrestlers to ever exist in this unique industry, getting some football accolades. As he said at the beginning of the show, he's like, I was so excited to come here where people actually remember me for football instead of that, which is what you probably remember him for more than anything. So Bill Goldberg, next year, a retirement match is coming. Watch for it. We'll, of course, cover it here on Going Ringside when it does happen, most likely on the Going Ringside TikTok and Instagram channel at Going Ringside. Give us a follow there. And thank you for joining us for this episode. We'll see you back here next time.
This has been Going Ringside with The Local Station, brought to you every Wednesday on your favorite podcast player, on News4Jax Plus, as well as the News4Jax YouTube channel.